BFA fam, welcome in. File in, everybody get their drinks and their snacks ready. Because we got a long show ahead of us to answer all of your questions to get you ready for Week 10 of football. It's a little bit. There's a lot of teams on bye. We kind of talk about this, but the slate's starting to warm up to be a little bit more and more. But obviously, we'll see how everything turns out this week. It looks a lot better than it is last week. Last week's NFL games schedule was pretty
rough.
This week does feel a lot
rough.
better. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. 8:08 evening.
Yeah.
My team dropped another L this week, looking for that bounce back. 2 wide receivers, 1 running backs, and a flex. Devontae Adams, Tank Dell, Javonte, Kenneth Walker, Demario Douglas, Jerry Jeudy.
First 2 wide receiver. Javonte at running back. Then I'll go KW. Was it KW9, KW3? I don't love Devontae Adams this week, but with those options, I can't. As much as I don't like Devontae Adams, I can't get myself to plug in Demario Douglas or Jerry Jeudy ahead of him. So.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm not a fan of Devontae Adams this week, but I think I'm not sitting him in favor of those other 2 options.
Yeah.
And then I would just go with the 2 running backs, Javonte and Kenneth Walker at the RB spot and flex.
Yeah.
Also running San Francisco defense. Should I stream another defense? Top choices, if so.
Would have helped. I would have gotten to the defense video this week. Did not.
I think the 49ers are fine if you wanted to go there. I still have them as a top 10 defense this week, but you have options depending on if they're sitting out there, but like the Steelers, the Seahawks, I think are both in play. The Bucks against Tennessee. Patriots, I think, are a good play. Actually, I really like the Bears as well. I think they're a really sneaky defense stream this week as well, going up against Bryce Young. So, but I also think you can probably just hold on to San Francisco too.
Sorry, I'm looking at ESPN now and looking at what defenses might be available. I agree though. I think San Francisco is fine. With adding Chase Young to the mix and putting him on the other side of Bosa, that should help out the secondary that has not been good so far. But like I said, adding a guy like Chase Young to the other side of that pass rush should certainly help things out. I'll keep looking here if you want to jump to the next one and see if there's anything else that jumps out.
Alex, need help. No Fields. Options are Bryce Young, Minshew, Dobbs, Levis. Pick PPR. Doesn't really matter for this, but pick one.
Gonna go Levis.
I don't mind that call. I think he's fine. If you want to go with him, I like Joshua Dobbs just a little bit more. But yes, if you want to go Will Levis, I think that's fine too. He has a better matchup. I do like Joshua Dobbs and what he's brought to the table running the football as well. But of all the options you have here, I think it comes down to Dobbs and Levis, and I'd probably just I think maybe matchup dependent. Maybe just go Levis. Maybe it makes a little more sense.
If Dobbs had Justin Jefferson back, it'd be a little different, but
yeah, I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. I know they opened up his practice window, but it doesn't sound like he's going to play this week. I don't know why you would, but
yeah.
And then another one, my other league, I seen the video you guys got Mike Evans and Metcalf ranked high. So who do I flex? Devontae, Christian Kirk, B Hop, Tank Dell, or Kareem Hunt?
But to be honest, Evans and Metcalf are ranked high, just because of the of the bye weeks we have. Not necessarily anything to do with them. They're both in good spots. But if this were a normal week, they would certainly be wide receiver 2. So did just want to throw that out one out. I really like Christian Kirk this week.
I mean, to me, it's
that's where I would
between
lean.
Javonte Williams and DeAndre Hopkins. I think I would lean Javonte.
I'm good with Javonte too. I like any of those first 3 options.
ET, need your help extending my win streak to 9 this week. Let's go. In non PPR, Moore or Romeo Dobbs?
Oh.
It's going to be DJ Moore for me.
Yeah, DJ Moore.
Kittle or Kincaid?
Now, when it comes to this, the note, the little note that ET threw in there, does that ever like factor in to you?
No. I'm not going to play a player just because of the player you're playing against has their quarterback, right? Like that. Don't that really matters to me. I'm caring more about this guy. I feel like whether their upside is, and it's Dalton Kincaid for me.
I'm gonna go Kincaid as well with a fully healthy Sam Fran offense.
Yeah, I have Dalton Kincaid at tight end 4 this week. So
I like it.
Chris, real full PPR, Goff or Burrow? It's gonna be Goff for me.
I'm gonna go Burrow. Assuming that Chase plays. T. Higgins also popped up on the injury report with a hammy as well. So obviously, if those two
Jamar
are
Chase
out,
plays and they have their full weapons, I'll go Joe Burrow. If they are not and they're out, I'm going to go Jared Goff, which you're going to have time to figure that out. So, Taysom Hill or Kittle?
I have never gotten a Taysom Hill week right, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think I would lean Taysom Hill here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Taysom Hill here. 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and a flex between James Conner, Jalen Warren, Foreman, Devontae Adams, Josh Downs, and Jahan Dotson.
Did I miss anything? Is Conner back for sure?
He's not back for sure. They're going to see. They're going to see how he does in practice this week. They did, open up his practice window, but there's no guarantee of anything of him playing.
Well, if he goes, I'm going Conner. And golly. So this is how I would do it. If Herbert doesn't play, I would throw Foreman out there. But then, well, yeah. So
if Herbert does not
work.
play, then yes, I would play. I would play Foreman.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play him, fire him up, and then I would play Jalen Warren at running back. I'm playing Warren anyway over James Conner. I think that 1, it's not a good matchup. The Falcons have been pretty good against the running back position this year. 2, I don't know what his workload is going to be. Like, it's very possible they ease him back in. He doesn't see the type of bell cow work that he saw before. So, and with the matchup, everything else, Jalen Warren does have a really good matchup. So I would just go Jalen Warren and Foreman. But now, if you may not, if Herbert does come back, I don't want to play Herbert. But I don't also know if you have really any other options here.
Right.
So if these are all the running backs you have, and there's the three options, then I guess I think you have to fire up Foreman because there's no guarantee that that James Conner's even going to play. But I assume you have to have somebody else, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're firing up Foreman regardless. He has looked better than Roshan has. I think if Khalil Herbert comes back, that puts Darrington Evans to the side. So Foreman, regardless, if Connor plays, I would play him over Warren. Uh, I don't know. I'm assuming that if Connor plays, that he's good enough to go, and he would get a full workload. So I play him over that, and then for the wide receiver and the flex, I'm gonna go Adams and Dotson.
Yeah, because I don't know if Josh Downs is going to play this week.
Yeah.
He missed
If
practice.
Downs does play, I would play Downs over Devontae for this week.
I don't think he's going to play, so I don't think you're going to have to worry about it. It doesn't. I don't even know if Curtis Samuel's going to play either, which is still great news for Dotson. So
Correct.
yeah. Isaac just got Jonathan Taylor for Garrett Wilson. Now might trade Swift for a running back. Debo or Pittman, good choices or something. I mean, it must have meant wide receiver. Debo or Pittman, good choices.
I feel like I'd rather. I mean, depending on who your other running back is, like if you have a cliff after Swift, I think I would just hold on to him with how bad the running back position has been. And like, I really like Pittman. Debo is so hard to trust whenever that offense is fully healthy. Just always seems like it's someone different each week outside of Christian McCaffrey. So I think I would hold there. I would prefer Pittman over Debo though. So that to me, like I said, depends on what you have after JT and Swift, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would rather hold on to those running backs. I mean, unless you're just absolutely loaded. But and I mean, I like Pittman a lot, but I don't know if I really want. I mean, do I want two? Do you feel comfortable starting two Colts
Mm.
every single week? Like that offense ain't that good, to be wanting to do that. As much as I love Michael Pittman, and then Debo is going to be very hit or miss on most weeks, and so I think I would rather either a target a different wide receiver or just hold
Yeah.
Swift. Brandon Simpson. Hey gang, Smith or Olave rest of season? I'm gonna go Olave.
Olave for me.
Will, good to see Will here. Who should I start in my flex? Devin Singletary or Cortland Sutton? I'm gonna go with Cortland Sutton.
I would go Sutton as well. They haven't, Pierce did not practice again today, which, when guys miss on Wednesday, it's not that big of a deal. If he would have gotten in a limited practice, that would be a better sign. But they just have not been able to get anything going on the ground. Like even with all the touches last week, Singletary did not come through.
Yeah, and then Pacheco or James Conner rest of season. I'm gonna go Pacheco.
Yeah, I'll go Pacheco. It's really close for me though.
TX. Which two to play between Flowers, Pickens, London, and Foreman / Roshan half point PPR?
Golly.
I'm gonna go Pickens.
Golly gee whiz. I'm gonna go London. He was back. He was back in a limited fashion today. So it's one of those instances where we do take the Wednesday practice reports into consideration, right? A guy who missed last week getting into limited practice on Wednesday, that is a good sign. Yeah, I guess it's London Pickens. Not really feeling Flowers this week, and I've been trying to be the Flowers optimist when Kev has been trying to bring me down, but I'm with Kev this week.
TX, Downs, Douglas, or Tank Dell. This is going to be Tank Dell for me.
Dell, baby.
And DJ Moore, London, DJ Moore for me.
Golly. DJ Moore by a smidge, but I don't love it. Cole Kmet is who you want to play. Tyson Bagent is a quarterback.
Yeah, it's DJ Moore. Easily. Ashton. 12-team Superflex. I was offered 2 fourth-round picks for Tommy DeVito. Should I just take that or hold? I have 2 quarterbacks, but wouldn't play them anyways.
I mean, I'd probably take the picks.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, for someone you just picked up off of waivers, like you got your lottery ticket, you kind of hit for, you didn't really hit for anything. You hit for 2 more free tickets, but I'd probably still take that. I don't understand how he is on anyone's depth chart. AP.
Christian Watson or Jalen Warren? This is going to be Jalen Warren for me. He's got to show me something at this point. Christian Watson does. Like, I'm tired of rolling his ass out there, and either the damn notification, the inevitable notification that comes of Christian Watson has left the game, or something like this that's happened with him, or just downplay. Just give me Jalen Warren.
Yeah.
And then Ashton doing the Lord's work here. Yes, if you haven't already, if you want to jump into our Discord, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is click the link, and that's it. And good little fantasy football community over there. A lot of conversation going on at all times. So whether you're into, excuse me, redraft or DFS or player props, there's the player props gets going once especially once we get closer to the weekend. So, anyways, it's absolutely free. So if you want to click that link, you can join. If not, no big deal. AP.
I do want to say quickly, something that we forgot to put into the Discord, but I want to throw it out here to the YouTube channel. What other kind of content do you guys look for? We're trying to figure out another video to put out during the week. Obviously, we have the waivers, we have the rankings. We're trying to figure out another not live video to do. But it just seems like, there's a lot of repeat information out there, like buy, sell is like low hanging fruit. Is there any other kind of content that you guys are constantly looking for that you feel we could fill a need, or something that you think that we could do better than some other channels? So any ideas in terms of content ideas, we'd love to hear them.
I second that. AP. My top 3 wide receivers on bye. Hate to see it. Got to pick one wide receiver, one flex. Judy, Pickens, Warren. On waivers or Shaheed, Gibson, and Singletary. So wide receiver, I'm going to go with I'm going to go George Pickens here, and then
we're not gonna help because I'm gonna go Judy.
And the flex, I'm gonna go Warren. No, then I'll go Judy because I damn sure don't want to play 2 Steelers. So I don't mind like and even if you want to go Judy or Warren, like I'm fine with that too. Judy and Pickens are very close for me, and Pickens does worry the hell out of me. Like it's gonna be a grease the wheel type situation here with Pickens and his drama that he's been creating this week. But I don't know since Deontay Johnson's come back, he hasn't really been putting up those huge performances like he was prior to. So that is worrying me.
Just like seeing this scenario in my head, I want to say because I'm forced to start Pickens in a league this week, but I just have like there's just like this playing this scenario in my head where uh Jair Alexander just gets in his ass and like Pickens throws a punch. This gets ejected. I feel like that has a very strong chance of happening. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Crabtree coming up and ripping off Talib's chain. Like I just feel like that's that's something that could happen in this game. Having said that, I will go Judy and Pickens.
Well, I guess you can plug in Judy, but and then take your pick on the other two. I just feel like Jalen Warren is really safe, too. Though, like if you wanted to go there, so like Judy and Warren, because Warren, he has been a pretty steady producer all year for the most part. I mean, he hasn't really had any boom performances, but he's given you double-digit fantasy points on most weeks. So where Pickens has been very boom or bust. I mean, the what 2.9 fantasy points that he scored or whatever last week was obviously killed a lot, and hurt a lot of people, me included, because I actually own him in my home league as well. So, but for a lot of people, you're probably forced to start him. But in this situation, if you have other options, I don't mind, just sitting him.
Kind of like now talking myself into uh Shaheed there and just swing for the fences. Like at least Shaheed's not going to get thrown out of a game or to throw a hissy fit, right?
Yeah. M. Dot beats Purdy or damn.
I'm assuming it's supposed to be Dak, but
Oh, that's probably right. You're probably right. Like, damn. I was trying to think of who that could be. But yeah, you're probably right. It's probably Dak. So Dak or Purdy. I think it's Purdy. I do like Dak a lot this week, but man, this feels like another one of these games where the Cowboys are just going to absolutely wreck the Giants, and it's going to be over with by the time halftime gets here, and they're going to be out of the game. There's no way that happens with Brock Purdy, and this is a game that I think could potentially turn into a little bit more of a high scoring affair, and you don't really have to worry about one way or the other. So I think I would lean Brock Purdy. I love the matchup for Dak, but there's no way I feel like Tommy DeVito is going to push the Cowboys into having to like open things up and throw the ball a ton and everything else. So that's what worries me.
I'm with you. I think Dak is a safer option. I mean, Purdy is a safer option.
Christian, 12-man PPR to flex trade Adams plus Pollard for Kyler, Taysom, and Amon-Ra. So I don't think you really need a quarterback. You have Goff. I think you're fine there. Like I don't think you need to go all out and getting Kyler. I don't know if that helps you. You have McBride. I like McBride long term more. I mean, Taysom Hill is going to be very boom or bust. I mean, he's had some good run and stuff like that lately, but I think with Kyler back, I think that's going to help McBride. But Kamara, A Chain, Mostert, Hunt, Will Herbert. And it looks like there's another one here. Trade Pollard plus Godwin for Josh Allen, Taysom, or Debo.
I mean, in that first one, I much prefer St. Brown to Adams rest of the season, but like I don't know that I want to throw in Pollard and get
Let
the
me ask
rest
you
of
this:
that.
how would you feel about trading Mostert?
I'm fine
Like
with that.
instead of Pollard, do Adams Mostert for that side.
Do you think that gets it done though?
I mean, if the person's willing to take on Pollard, who's been as bad as he's been, I don't know why you wouldn't want to take on Mostert, who's like the RB2 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather trade Mostert. I know you've touched on this as well. Like as bad as Pollard has been, the schedule does open up the rest of the season, starting with the matchup
And I
against
think
the
this
Giants.
year in matchups that I can't remember where I saw this earlier in the week. I wish I could. 'Cause I don't like not giving credit, but in matchups that the when he's faced a top 15 defense this year, he is averaging almost 18 PPR points per game. And matchups that are on the other direction of that, he's only averaging like 9 point something PPR points per game. And the rest of season, they only have 2 matchups left the rest of the year that are against sub 15 defenses. So I think that's why I think much better days are coming for Tony Pollard. I don't want to move off Tony Pollard, sell him, and then all of a sudden I feel like an idiot that I just traded Tony Pollard away whenever I could have used him. Where I feel much better about moving on from Reed Mostert than I do Tony Pollard. I get it that he's struggled and everything else. I would not want to trade Pollard at all.
And
And
I
I don't
think
really care.
also,
Like trading for a tight end to me doesn't matter. Like you don't like Taysom Hill brings no value to this at all. Like I could care less about trying to trade for Taysom Hill. Like unless it's Travis Kelsey or Sam Laporta or somebody that's been like super productive all year. Don't get me wrong, Taysom Hill has been really good lately, but I don't foresee it being a thing all year where you're going to be able to continue to count on this. And you already have McBride. Now I want Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I have no problem. Like I would love that. Like if I could get Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I don't want to give up Pollard to be able to do it. And then Adams worries me because Aiden O'Connell has looked decent this year, and he's shown the ability to be able to be a functional quarterback. And I think there's a chance that Devontae Adams explodes. So for me, I don't know if I make this trade at all. I don't know if I make any trade here. Like I don't think you need to. I don't think you're in a position that you really need to. But if I was going to, I would try to figure out something to be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would want that. But I don't really want Kyle. I don't think you need him.
yeah. And the other thing I'm just going to throw in too is like if you get rid of Pollard with this running back room, like it could get like again, not that Pollard has been great. He's obviously been very disappointing for especially for where we had him, Kev. But like Kamara, his snap share has been dropping pretty significantly since Jamal Williams has come back. Then you have both Dolphins running backs. You're obviously, only going to be running out one of those each week unless one of them gets hurt. Like Hunt in a timeshare, Herbert probably going to be splitting time with Roshan and/or Deonta Foreman with how well Foreman has been playing. So I would rather just have Pollard. And like if I'm going to trade Pollard on this team, I'm going to want another running back.
Yeah, so you might rework the parameters of this trade if that's what you're really wanting to do.
Parameters.
Yeah, you like that?
I do like that.
You like that? Anyways,
And then you ruined it.
yeah, fuck. Oh, every time, one step forward, 2 steps back every time.
Yep.
Rock out. Got a trade offer for my Walker for Aaron Jones.
Oh Lord, Kev, I know you've talked about how rough Walker's rest of season schedule is, but I still think I prefer him over Aaron Jones.
You just hate Aaron Jones, is what you're saying.
I mean, that too, yeah, but I don't know. I don't like that offense, and with the injuries that Jones has been dealing with already, like we still have 7 weeks left of fantasy football, and that just I don't know that kind of worries me a touch.
This is the time. Like we are now officially in the time where you should be looking at the fantasy playoff scheduling, and if you can get some edges there, it is definitely something you should be looking at. Like it's not too early to be talking about that now. I mean, we're really 5 weeks away until the fantasy playoffs, so like it's coming very quickly. and the trade deadline's coming
Mhm.
very quickly too. And so, like, I'm not saying like I'm just moving all my players, try to get players with great matchups, but like if I'm going to be looking at two different things there, like between those two, I want to know like that for example. And if you look at the Aaron Jones situation, so week 15 they take on the Bucks, and then they take on the Panthers in week 16. So obviously elite matchup there, and then the Vikings after that in the fantasy championship. So it's not a bad schedule for the fantasy playoffs. The Bucks have been a little bit better against the run this year, in the first week of the fantasy playoffs. But other than that, those next two matchups are pretty good. And so I don't mind trading for Aaron Jones. There is the caveat that I think I would rather find a different running back though because of the injuries that he suffered, and soft tissue injury. Something else could pop up. Like I said, it is a good matchup there, but I just think if I'm going to trade Kenneth Walker, I would be looking for something a little bit different to acquire than them.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to go to the Tony Pollard, whoever owns Tony Pollard in your league, and go to them and try to trade. You might have to add maybe something onto it, maybe not. You might be able to trade Kenneth Walker for Tony Pollard straight up and get it done with that. I would love that. I mean, because if you look at the top 10 rest of season in terms of schedule remaining for strength of schedule, you have the Brees Hall at number 1. You have Isaiah Pacheco, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Rashad White, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift as the best remaining schedules. So I mean, I think Tony Pollard is a good buy. I think Derrick Henry's an interesting buy, depending on what it would cost, but it worries me on how much that how much Tajay Spears continues to, kind of take touches away from him. But his schedule is awesome in the fantasy playoffs because they get during the fantasy playoffs. I believe they get they get the Texans twice. I'm pretty sure. I was trying to look at it real quick, but I'm pretty sure they get the Texans twice in that. So that's obviously always good. Yeah. So they do. So they get the Texans, Seahawks, and then Texans again. So pretty good. Like you can't ask for a lot better than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm probably not making that trade just because don't love Aaron Jones. But I think I would definitely be looking to trade Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. See, where are we at?
Sorry, I got it. I was trying to see if there's any other information on this question with Kenneth Walker. But seeing Walker being questionable, Charbonnet a good stash for a season, pretty rough. PPR thoughts? Yes. Not only is this time of year where you should be looking forward to playoff schedules and rest of season schedules and things like that, but also picking up handcuffs, whether they're your own or handcuffs that are sitting out there on waivers. And Charbonnet is one of the best stashes, in my opinion, if he is still sitting out there. But it looks like chest injury. Did not practice today. So I don't know what that means. And this is on the other side of the Wednesday practice reports that I was mentioning earlier. When guys don't practice, it's not necessarily the biggest deal. Really Thursday and Friday become the more important days to track practice participation. But when there's guys that, have missed in previous weeks, like Drake London, and they're already practicing on Wednesday, that is a good sign. High upside, low risk. TFA can't decide between Nico and Deontay and non-PPR. Deontay has the same floor. Nico has the higher ceiling. I need to win out if I want to make the playoffs. I have Nico higher this week. He did pop up. I think he was limited, but he did pop up with a calf injury today. But like I said, the fact that he was limited is a good sign to see on a Wednesday practice report. So I would still go Nico here. He obviously, especially in a non-PPR, he has the higher touchdown ceiling, considering Deontay just went 2 years basically without scoring a touchdown. So
Yeah, I think I would go Nico too. I mean, obviously, like everything you just lined out, I completely agree with that.
we need 2 here for IC: Evans, Thielen, Deontay, Jacoby.
This is
Gonna be
first two for me.
first 2 for me as well. How do you feel about the Las Vegas defense? I think they're fine as a streaming option.
Yes, yeah, especially against the Jets.
Yeah.
It is really bullshit that the NFL didn't flex this game out. Like, nobody wants to see this. Like, outside of Raiders fans and I guess Jets fans, and I don't even know if Jets fans want to watch after what they just had to endure on Monday Night Football. Like, I do see something here from Alex. I'm guessing that he's a Raiders. Oh, I guess he's a Raider. I guess he's a Raiders fan. There, Alex. I do want to ask you though. But it sounds like you're a Raiders fan here. I am curious. Are you happy that they're winning? Like, wouldn't you rather, unless you think Aiden O'Connell is like the starting quarterback of the future? If you don't, like, wouldn't you rather them lose, and so you can get a high draft pick and be able to get that franchise quarterback that you've been looking for? I'm just curious on that. I guess as a fan, it's hard to like root for your team to lose, but at the same time,
Oh, it's
you know
not.
you're not going. Well, never mind. I forgot who I'm talking to is Cody, but I'm just curious. So let me know, Alex. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that. Like, are you happy that they're winning and kind of turning things around, just for the sake of it, or would you rather them lose and actually be able to get a higher draft pick out of it? Did we already answer this? And maybe if we didn't,
Yeah.
or maybe if he went in here to see it, but just so we can say it again, it was Brock Purdy. We both went with that. And then Alex, 100% hit that like button if you haven't already. We do appreciate it. Answer every single question here, but yeah, a simple like goes a long way. Helps the old algo for YouTube. And then if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate that as well. So, Jerry, would you do Mixon and Debo for Aaron Jones and Brandon Ayuk? Yes. I like Brandon Ayuk better rest of season, and I think Aaron Jones. I like him a little bit more than Joe Mixon. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd rather have Ayuk. He's the best player in this deal, so I just have such a bias against Aaron Jones, and I don't really know why. I don't know why.
I don't know either. I don't know either. Just same question. I don't know why you hate the Steelers, but
Well, they've we don't have time. Let's not get
Taco,
behind
what's
tonight.
up? Oh, I need 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end. Nico Downs, Judy, Pop Douglas, JSN on waivers.
Oh, is that a Pop Douglas? I did not know that. Is that the nickname?
Yeah.
I was unaware.
And then
I'm
Connor
not.
Ford, Cook, Kincaid, Laporta. Man, you have both those tight ends, Taco?
Kincaid was probably. I mean, they were both probably waiver pickups.
I'm flipping one of them. I'm flipping probably Kincaid.
Yes. So as long as Downs plays, we're going Downs. If he does not, I would go JSN.
I would go Pop. So I'm going Nico, and then I don't think Downs plays. I don't think he's going to play. So I would go Pop Douglas, and then the
And
flex.
I'm rolling out both tight ends.
Yep, I was going to say the same thing. Give me both tight ends. I have him as top 4 tight ends this week, both of them. So I actually have you'll like this. I have Sam Laporta as numero uno this week, tight end 1.
Umaro Nuno.
Yeah, messed all that up there.
Switching it up.
Idiot. What is this? Amateur hour? I see. I have Cup and Walker not high on either rest of season. Would you get who you think I could get for them at running back?
Well, you have to find a Rams believer. Is the trick here? Because
Well, I mean
if
they're
you
okay
find
now.
someone,
They brought in Carson Wentz.
God, that picture of him with
All
was
the
it the
different teams'
Eagles? Yeah,
gear
the
that he's
Eagles
collected.
helmet.
It's like
Yeah,
Infinity Stones, but with he's collected them all. But
he's just trying to show that he's jersey diverse. It's like, guys, look, I can wear any color. Um, I mean, if you find someone who is a believer in Cup for the rest of the season, like you could kind of name your price, right? Like you should be able to go up and get. I mean, maybe not CMC, but I think anyone not named CMC, I think you can go get Eckler, ETN, whoever it is you want.
would you do it if somebody offered it to you, or if you could do it? Would you take if you would you trade Cup and Walker for Jonathan Taylor, or would you need more?
I think I want more. I still think I'd want something little on top there.
That might be an option that you could look at there. I see is maybe going after like a Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, you're going to want probably something else added on to that. Maybe another wide receiver, like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, something like that. But I really like that. And I mean, the Colts are one of those teams that have a pretty good rest of season schedule for the rest of the season. Maybe Brees Hall could also be a really good option as well. But that you could look at. Like I said, they have the easiest remaining schedule for running backs.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to look see if there's anything else.
As always, your best bet anytime you're looking to make a trade and if you're targeting running back, find someone who is good at running back, weak at receiver. That's always going to be the easiest way to do it. Is trying to find another team where it's the inverse, right? That you're strong where they're weak and you're weak where they're strong. That's always the best way to go about it.
I was waiting to see if you responded. I'm happy it's a new vibe. I don't think any true Raider fan like McDaniel representing the silver and black, letting him go was the best thing. You'll see Raider Nation. I mean, sure. I mean, yes, Josh McDaniels was always a terrible head coach. Whenever they signed him, I thought he was a terrible head coach. But I'm more talking about where their record stands and how they keep winning some games here. And now you're probably looking at being like a more of the teens in terms of your pick, and that could just be end up being an issue for team building wise down the line, unless you think Aiden O'Connell is the guy, right? So I get it.
Yeah.
I would be happy that Josh McDaniels was gone too. That dude has no business being a head coach anywhere. And then just hearing the stuff that's coming out about him and stuff that he said and stuff like that, to like other players and stuff like this, and the fact that he didn't have the balls enough to like have this team meeting so they could bitch about him, and like he had to have Antonio Pierce stand up and talk to the team, and then he got mad whenever he brought up the Giants. Don't ever talk about the Patriots that way. I'm like, get out of here, you idiot.
Yeah, that's probably going to go down as one of my favorite locker room stories of all time. Like I would have loved to have been like a fly on the wall in that meeting.
And then it came out today. I guess he was fired on Halloween, so they were trick or treating with their kids whenever he found out about it.
Got tricked.
Yeah,
no treat. Andrea, hi everyone. Need 2. Gus, Spears, and if Herbert is out, Foreman at PPR.
So Foreman, if Herbert is out, and then if Herbert plays, then I would probably just go the first 2, go Gus and Spears.
Yeah. If Herbert is out, I would go Gus and Foreman.
Yeah.
HG back with us. Good to see you back in here. Is this a good trade? I get Jacobs and St. Brown. The other player gets Cup and Jefferson. Assuming that you need running back help, I would take this.
I think so too, because Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a baller, a top 5 wide receiver this year. So you're not suffering that big of a drop off, and you definitely, if you really need a running back, I think Jacobs better days are coming for him. I mean, obviously he's coming off one of his best games he had, scoring a couple touchdowns this past weekend. But obviously getting rid of Jefferson hurts, especially if you've been holding on this long and you're just now when he's starting to be able to come back, you're moving him. But with the package that you're getting in return, I think I would do it.
And that was probably the best time, right? Because this is probably where his value is going to be the highest. Like it would suck to hold on this long, but at the same time, um, now that like people are like hyped on Josh Dobbs, which don't get me wrong, like fantastic story. The fact that he was able to come back and win that game for him, but at the same time, like the dude turned into a pumpkin at the end of his time with Arizona, and like how quickly we're like we're forgetting that. You know what I mean? So,
Is it crazy to you that he is the QB 10 on the season?
yes, did not know that, and my mind is officially blown. That is fucking crazy. Addison or Godwin? I'm going to go Godwin on this one.
I'm gonna go Addison.
You would. Sorry, I couldn't help you out on that one. TX. Michael, love this channel. We love you, Michael. Dell or Ford? This is going to be Dell.
Yeah, this is definitely Dell. And yes, I appreciate it.
Ryan, how's this trade? DJ Moore, Najee Pitts for Andrews and Scary Terry.
How are you feeling about this? I'm kind of indifferent about it. Like, I don't have like a strong take one way or the other. Like, I think you're getting the best player out of it with getting Mark Andrews. Terry's obviously just a really good wide receiver too. But with once Justin Fields comes back, which sounds like it's probably going to be after this week, that he'll be back. Sounds like he's getting much closer. But then Najee's starting to trend up. Now Pitts is whatever to me, but I still think you probably take the trade, right?
I would take it here. Yeah. Assuming that Pitts has been like your tight end one all year, like that's a clear upgrade going to Andrews. And then like DJ Moore obviously had those like 2 massive games right before Fields got hurt. But I still think I would do it. Like Najee and Pitts are kind of whatever for me. I would take Andrews rest of season over DJ Moore, and I would take Terry for Najee and Pitts 8 times out of 10. Too hype. Hey guys, thanks for all you do. You're welcome. 12-team half PPR week 10 lineup: Heineke, Mixon, Hall, DK, Thielen, Kittle, Higgins, Tucker, and on the bench we have Dylan, Algier, Gainwell, Ford, and JSN. Lineup changes, possible trades, looking to trade current bench players. Now, the problem with your bench players, I don't think you're going to get much.
I don't
Dylan's
think.
a turd.
I mean, obviously, the bye week's over, you can drop Heineke. You don't need him anymore because Tua will be past that. Hill, is Tyreek Hill, but like I don't know what it is that you actually need. That I would say like okay, like you got like because I think your running backs are fine. You have decent depth. Like Algier is a good handcuff and really a standalone value at this point because Arthur Smith loves him. And just won't feature Bijan. Ford, I think, is still going to be in the mix every single week. Gainwell, good, another good, kind of handcuff option. Dylan, same thing. So I think you're good. If this is, well, they said half point PPR, so it's not as imperative to have as many wide receivers because like I've been trying to flip wide receivers. Like a move actually I just made today myself was I actually traded Darrell Henderson for Michael Wilson because well, one Kyron Williams should be back after their bye, I would assume, and so are pretty close after it. And so I know his value is going to tank, and so I'm trying to acquire wide receivers because wide receivers that I can play in the flex, I'm pretty much always going to.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe if you could flip, like Thielen and Algier to to the Bijan owner, and like maybe upgrade that way. But like I don't think like based on just your bench, you're gonna get much in return. Like JSN if he balls out this week, maybe you could flip him, but like you're gonna need one of those guys to pop off to like really get any value from like strictly your bench players. 6-3, thanks to us. Hey, we're just here to help. Too hype. Glad your season is going well. Team is Hurts, Eckler, Etienne, Olave, D-Hop, DJ Moore, Hawk on the bench. Oh, Hawkinson. On my bench is Cup, Fields, Kyler Hunt, Pickens, Thomas, Taysom, JJ, Connor. Anyone should I try and trade? 6-3 tied first.
I don't know how many teams this is, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. And
Justin Jefferson's going to be back within the next week.
Well, this is also, I'm assuming this is the same team where we just had the Jacob St. Brown for Cup and Jefferson.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I try and trade some of those quarterbacks if you can.
It's so hard with quarterbacks because most people you have to wait till after this week. So like let Kyler and just hope that he has a good week because if he does, then he becomes very easily tradable. But if he doesn't and he just goes out and stinks it up, then it's just going to be another guy you're holding on to for another week because people aren't wanting to trade for a player. But if he does, he goes out and puts up 20 plus fantasy points or something like that this weekend, he becomes a very easy player to trade. And then yes, I would absolutely flip him.
Yeah, other than that, nothing like really stands out.
This and that was in response to the question you asked.
Yeah.
More lives.
It's the easiest for us, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
But the only problem is the only problem is that it doesn't do as well with views after the fact, right? Like that's kind of we're looking for something that we can put out there that people are going to search for that will continue to get views throughout the week. This is kind of the angle we're trying to take. I think it depends on your options here, TX. But I think you can if he's active for sure. But it depends on who else you have. Buy sell. Kind of figured that was going to be the.
And we could probably do that next week with a fantasy with trade deadline coming up in the next couple of weeks, with fantasy playoffs coming. Like kind of a look at the fantasy playoffs, like who's your player you should be looking to buy that you could buy for fantasy playoff purposes, stuff like that. Setting your team up for success for that time frame, especially if you're a team that's 7-3 or 6-3, excuse me, at that point, or 7-3, I guess it will be by that point. Like if you're in a really strong position where you're going to make the playoffs or have a really good shot at doing so, then I think maybe that's something we could do for next week to kind of pave the path there for that. Maybe that's something we could do. Because another idea that we've had and that I've talked about is about kind of doing a more of an in-depth look at like players past like for example, like we cover like the top 36 wide receivers and the top basically 36 running backs. But like if there's like going a little bit deeper and finding some like hidden gems that you could play this week. Like one for me would have been like last week would have been Noah Brown, with a player that I would have been very high on and telling people to play if you're needing a wide receiver, because I was in love with Noah Brown last week. Played a ton of them in DFS, and I thought he was like an elite play last week. So guys like that, where we could unearth some players, especially with buys and everything else going on, was another idea that we had.
Joe wants to know, is Chase good to go? He did not practice today, but again, Wednesday practice reports, I feel like I've said this 18 times now. Not necessarily the end of the world. So like we'll have to see. Like Chase's comments are the things that would worry me the most. So like I don't want to just like throw out a guess that has no merit here. I mean, we really just have to pay attention to the Thursday and Friday practice reports and see what comes out. TH, what side here? Chase is supposed to be Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. I'm assuming. So case, my lord. Chase, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet for Keenan and Brees, half PPR.
I would lean the Keenan Allen side. Much as
Where
I
I lean
love
as
Jamar
well.
Chase, and it's good that that having I guess that pair of Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, if something were to happen to him. But if this continues, it really could be a scenario where like there's kind of a lot like a Najee, Jalen Warren, where it's more of a 50-50 split than it is anything. That's what worries me with Kenneth Walker. So I mean, if you're trading away that, then I'm fine with it. But acquiring, Chase, Kenneth Walker, I'm not sure which side you are here. But if I would want the Keenan Allen and Brees Hall side.
It's where I lean as well. Joe, what do we think of this trade? Swift and Kelsey for Achan and Pitts. I'm
I
on
want
the
the
Kelsey
Swift and
side.
Kelsey side 1,000 times out of 1,000 times.
Yep. Scar. Someone offered me Devontae Adams for Michael Pittman Jr. Should I take it? And then also went on to say that Amon-Ra is their wide receiver one.
I feel like you're selling low there though. Like, I mean, I know he's been really bad. I don't think he's had a 100-yard game since weeks 5 or 6 or something like that. His target shares hasn't been great, but it also matchups. Like, it's not going to be a good matchup for him this week either. I mean, like we talked about, but I think you should. I think that's not enough. Like I like Michael Pittman. This is a very friendly Michael Pittman, establishment here. We both love Michael Pittman, but trading Devontae Adams, and then again, this would be one situation where I feel really stupid. If he started to get back to being, Devontae Adams again, and you traded him away for Pittman, and which I love, but Pittman's more of a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I would. If you're getting Adams, I would take Adams here. Murdoch. Drop Henderson and pick up Keaton Mitchell. Kev, I'll let you take this one, buddy. Keaton Mitchell was someone you talked about back in the offseason. It's our first Keaton Mitchell question of the night.
I would do that.
I would too, assuming that like Henderson is someone that is just going to be like sitting on your bench anyway. Like I'd rather have the upside of Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, that's why I just tried.
There's
That's why I just mentioned.
there's the
Like that's
rest
why
of the running backs right there.
that's why I just
So I
traded
just
Henderson. I mean, I have no like after their bye, I went to the person who owned Kyron Williams, and I just flipped him for somebody that I liked on their team. It's because I think his value comes to an end. He was somebody I picked up off waivers anyway, so it didn't really matter to me. And I got Michael Wilson out of it, who's if you watch Waiver Show this week, somebody that I love as a stash prior to Kyler Murray, um, being back and everything. So yeah, I have no problem dropping Darrell Henderson.
Javier wants to know, what is Devonta Smith's value? What are good trades for him?
So I am not trading Devonta Smith, and here's why. If you remember last year, once Dallas Goedert went down, he exploded, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen now with Dallas
Yep.
Goedert, going to be hitting IR. I want Devonta Smith because now it's just it's a very consolidated target share between him and AJ Brown again, and both of these guys can coexist. And so I do not want to trade Devonta Smith.
Yeah, agreed. At least not right now, anyway. Like, I think you wait until he has like a blow up game or two, and then like if you really don't want to hold on to him for some reason, then you can look at moving him. But I do not want to move Devonta Smith right now. Ashton happy being 7-2 having Pollard. You should be happy. TZ, Javonte Williams or Stevenson, full PPR. That it's going to be Javonte for both of us, I believe.
Yeah, really close. I mean, I like Javonte more, but it's very close. I think I have Javonte at 14, and Ramondre I think I have at 15. I think so. Very close. I like both these guys this week, but I'm going to lean Javonte.
Yeah. So back to Christian, the other trade of Pollard and Godwin for Allen, Taysom, and Debo. We'll also try to switch out Mostert and Godwin, or I guess just switching out Mostert for Pollard on this one.
Yeah, I would rather do that. If I could, I'd rather do Mostert and Godwin.
Yeah, if I can do Mostert here, I would do that. Let's get back to it. Whew.
Listen, Alex, we've all been there with quarterbacks that for our teams that go through this little stretch where they kind of play decently and we get excited about them. I mean, there was a time that people around these parts were excited for quarterbacks like Brody Croyle and, and such. So, like, yeah, I wouldn't be hitching my wagon to Aiden O'Connell.
I get this side of it as well, but
The best argument against that, I would tell you, is look at CJ Stroud. Is the weapons that he has, are those elite weapons? Are those elite supporting cast that he has? I mean, Tank Dell, they just drafted this year. Nico Collins has been a player that that we've liked and is has some sort of upside, but like they have no like alpha. And I would argue that if you're going to keep, if you were going to keep Devontae Adams and you already have
right.
Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer, who will be in his second year, like you have a pretty solid supporting cast for a rookie quarterback. One of the better that you could think of that just of a rookie quarterback walking into, especially a high first round pick, being able to walk into with having that kind of cast. I think you'd be in a good spot.
Yeah. Impossible. Start set advice. QB, Herbert or Murray? I'm going Herbert here.
Yeah, I do have Kyler Murray ranked as a top 12 quarterback this week, but I have Justin Herbert at 4.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to start Herbert over Murray. Murray's first game back. I'd want to see it for a week first. And then we need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Amon-Ra, Higgins, Nico, Dell, Godwin, Lockett. So those are the receivers. So if we're going 2 here,
First 2.
Yeah, first 2. Sorry, I did. For some reason, I was blocking out Amon-Ra. Yes, Amon-Ra and Higgins. 2 running backs: Madison, Bijan, Brian Robinson, Keaton Mitchell.
So this is once again going to be the first 2.
And then a flex, I'm going to go Nico.
Yes.
And then we need to drop 1 for defense. And I'd hate to
Who do you have at defense now? Like, why not just drop your defense? Is there a defense
Maybe
out
they
there that you wouldn't want to drop? Assuming that you
no
have the Eagles or the Chiefs or who are the other two teams on by?
unless
Rams.
impossible drop the defense to pick up Mitchell.
So, like, if you had the Chiefs or the Eagles, I would assume it has to be probably one of those two. Would you be okay with dropping either one of those? I'm definitely okay with dropping the Seahawks. Their schedule once they come back is really tough. And then you also, if you have the Chiefs, you're also looking at who they're playing next week, and that's going to be the Eagles. Are you going to feel great playing starting the Chiefs defense, which the Chiefs defense has been very good this year, but like against the Eagles, like no, probably not. And then they have another game coming up where they're going to be playing the Bills, they're going to be playing the Bengals. Like their schedule, they have some tougher games here, so I have no problem with just dropping a defense. I would rather not. I mean, so the answer here, if you're completely against dropping whoever your defense is, I would just drop Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to drop Mitchell after just picking him up, but that's the clear answer here. Like maybe if Akers didn't tear his Achilles, you could talk me into dropping Madison, but yeah, that's the way that I would have it.
Or
Well,
you drop your second quarterback, but which would be
right.
Kyler Murray. But I feel like that's going to help out somebody in your league, and so I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dull guitar 6-3. I have Diggs and Cooper. Would trade them third and fourth for Olave, T. Higgins, and a first. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, if I'm yeah, I would take that. If you're trading Diggs and Cooper, and then you're getting a third or a fourth, I don't care. I would throw both in. If you're getting Olave, T. Higgins, and a first in return, I'm definitely doing that. I mean, this next comment says Diggs and Olave for them. So, Dole, if you're still rocking with us, if you could straighten that one out, just so I'm making sure that I have this clear. But if this is how it's reading, I am sure doing that. Nino, trade Taysom for Connor. Have Saul tight end already. We don't know if Connor will be good after this injury. Either one would be a flex.
I'm easily going to trade Taysom for James Conner.
Yeah, I would do that too. Sorry, I think Carson's getting another cold, and he's in the room next to me. So I don't know the noise I just heard. Alex, Flex One, Dell, Flowers, PPR. This is going to be Tank Dell for both of us. Thoughts on Rashee Rice? Kev, I'll let you take this one.
I mean, he's their best wide receiver for sure, but it's incredibly frustrating to look at what they're doing every single week. And I think they completed a pass to 11 players last week. Like they just spread the ball around so much. They use all these different packages of players, and like it's hard to see him ever seeing like a 10 target game at this point. Like as much as I like him, and maybe they eventually will. Like it's maybe after the bye they figure some of this stuff out. But like it's been super frustrating because clearly he's their most productive, best wide receiver they have, but they continually run out. I mean, you're talking about almost every wide receiver they have, gets targets, and so it is so spread out that it makes it really tough for him to see a solid target share on a week to week basis, and he has to get there through touchdowns. So I like him. But at this point, it's just become incredibly frustrating to watch every single week and seeing how they do this, and it's pretty much been the sentiment for everybody around here that they're sick and tired of seeing Justin Watson getting targets.
Santos, Lamar, or Stroud this week?
This is gonna be Lamar.
Yeah, it's still going to be Lamar for me, but it's definitely not a question that I would have expected, 7, 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, Stroud's
It's
been
Stroud.
phenomenal.
He's he's been a baller. Dylan, what are you doing with my 12 team PPR? 5-4 should go 6-4. Stroud and Dobbs at QB, Pollard, Mixon, Cook, Herbert, Hunt, Spears at running back, Diggs, Ayuk, Hollywood, Downs, Michael Thomas, Andrews, and McBride at tight end. Feels like a lot of depth. Too much any moves. I mean, with having Stroud and with I think the Texans already had their bye week, if I'm remembering
Yeah, they did.
correctly.
Yeah.
So I'm dropping Dobbs. Um, and what else? I mean, that's awesome that Kyler is coming back now to give you a bump with Hollywood. Between Hollywood and Downs as your wide receiver 3, that's really nice. Andrews, McBride at tight end. I mean, with having both Andrews and McBride, I think you could potentially try and look at trading McBride, because I can't imagine there's going to be too many weeks where you want to throw out Hollywood and Trey in the same lineup. Other than that, maybe you could pair together McBride and one of the, maybe like Khalil Herbert, James Cook. Maybe you could do something like that, and try and just make whatever upgrade. But there's nothing standing out here to me that's like, you have to go get X position or X player. I think it's a strong team. But I can see why that team is 5-4, just with like Pollard and Mixon disappointing. James Cook is disappointed, but now I think you should be in a strong spot for the stretch here. Will, what do we think about this trade? Who's winning? Mixon, Jacobs, Waddle for CMC and Keenan.
CMC and Keenan.
For show, last fish. Let's go. Always love seeing last fish in the pond pop up here on the old lives. Good evening. Week 10, thing to finally use Dallas. Thoughts on Cincy versus Houston, Chicago versus Carolina, or Pitt versus Green Bay? So far, I've used San Fran, Detroit, Buffalo, Seattle, and Cleveland.
Yeah, because I mean Cincinnati versus Houston is no lock at all, with as well as CJ Stroud has played. And then Chicago, Carolina, I would like to say that, but it's not a
No.
lock by any means. And it's funny because Chicago owns Carolina's pick. So they have a lot invested in this game to want them to lose, because Chicago does have, that Panthers pick right now. And so I guess they really can't lose, because if they lose, that maintains their own pick. Because right now I think they have the second and the third overall picks in the draft right now. So, but yeah, so it's kind of an interesting little. But yes, I think you just go Dallas. I think it makes the most sense.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
no
looking
shot
through
in
to
hell
see.
Tommy DeVito is going to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, I would like to think that a Kyler Murray-led Cardinals team can get it done against the Falcons, but like I don't know that I'd want to do that in his first week back. Seattle against Washington. Did you use Seattle yet?
Yeah, already used them.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, I think it's just a week that you use Dallas.
Yeah, I would just use Dallas. Kick your feet up. Enjoy the week.
Well, the people who were playing Dallas against the Cardinals probably felt the same way. JB, fella, should I trade Monty for Pollard? I also have Gibbs.
Yes.
I think I would do that too. Got me feeling all tingly. Flowers, Lockett, Dell. We need 2. It's going to be the last 2 for both of us. Joe, that feels mighty early.
Yeah, because usually the trade deadline comes around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Normally we have like at least another 2 weeks. Feels a little early. I kind of get it, just because then you don't want teams that are mathematically eliminated trading with contending teams. So like I kind of get it, but I think that's just a rule that you could just spread in your league. Like once you're mathematically out, like you can't trade with anybody. Unless it's like a keeper league, but that's a whole different conversation. Truth, pick a tight end to start this week, Kincaid or Laporta. It's going to be Laporta for me. Start 1 at wide receiver, 2 in the flex, Metcalf or Kirk, and then Stevenson. Can also start one of the tight ends at flex as well.
So let's give me Metcalf and Stevenson for me.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Metcalf and Kirk, but that's really close for me with Kirk and Stevenson. Jacob, would you give Wilson for Pickens and Ferguson? I have Amon-Ra, Waddle, Watson, and wide receiver already. I've got our tight end who will be out for a while.
No.
I don't think I would do that either.
I think you just stream at that point.
Yeah.
Or you take some bench stuff and maybe try to go trade for Dalton Kincaid, especially with not Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride. Trey McBride, coming off a down game because of the Clayton Tune experience. So, I mean, his value is not going to be that high. He has that one good game, and that's pretty much been it. So, I would rather go do something like that. I don't want to trade. Yeah, that's what I would do.
I agree. Simp, Herbert, CD, Ridley, Bijan, Monty, Laporta, Gibbs, and London are the starters. Cook, Kincaid, Dell on bench, Connor on IR. Any changes in the lineup in a full PPR?
Man, that's wild. There's a lot of Laporta and Kincaid. That's like, what, the third or fourth that we've had?
Yeah. I would play Dell over Ridley.
I would too.
Do you want to start Monty and Gibbs? Like, would you rather play Kincaid over one of those Detroit running backs? Like, I don't know.
I would actually rather play James Cook or Kincaid. Probably over Monty. If you haven't already, the running back video that I did, I like Jahmyr Gibbs this week a lot more than David Montgomery. The Chargers have been really good against running backs this year. They've allowed, I think it's off the top of my head, they've allowed the 4th fewest rushing yards per game. They're top 5 in stuff ranked this year. Like, they've just been really, really stingy against the run this year. And so where they've been beaten is through the air. And so that's really where you'd want to target them. I think they've allowed the 2nd most receiving yards to running backs, which is where that really favors Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm not excited about Monty. I think he's got to fall into the end zone, from the 1 yard line, once or twice to be able to get there. So I would prefer going James Cook or Kincaid. I personally have James Cook ranked ahead of Monty myself.
Yeah, I would play Kincaid over Cook. So I would play Kincaid over one of those Detroit backs. I have them super close. Like that's kind of like a coin flip for me. Tyler, Charbonnet, Worth, and Ad Walker didn't practice today due to injury. Yes, absolutely. Like we were talking about earlier, this is the time of year. Like we're typically against handcuffing our own running backs, but this is the time, like especially if you're looking like a playoff team, that you want to start looking at uh, adding handcuff running backs. I think Charbonnet actually could have some standalone value as well. Like I don't think he's a pure handcuff. So if guys like Charbonnet, Rico Dowdle, Eli Mitchell, if those guys are sitting out there, I'm this is the time of year where I'm starting to pick those guys up and stash them on my bench. Yeah, it's kind of the way that I thought it was. So yes, I would take Adams over Michael Pittman. Joe, 7-2, trying to get HN. My running backs are ETN, Swift, Mostert, James Cook. Wide receivers are AJ Brown, Chase, DJ Moore, Dell. Tight ends, Kelsey Laporta. QBs, T-Law, and Shroud. What would you suggest HN owner is 3 and 6?
I wouldn't want to trade for HN. And I say that because I don't want to have both of those guys. I just feel like they're going to be kind of like, I feel like it's going to be just a split. And I get it. HN was a monster, but like you cannot expect that type of efficiency every single week. And that's what would worry me. And so I think you're in a really good spot here. I mean, honestly, with your lineup, I mean, this is very good. I think you could maybe look to get a more consistent wide receiver 3. DJ Moore with Justin Fields was obviously fantastic, but I think if you were going to make a move, like, wouldn't you like maybe package maybe Trevor Lawrence and Laporta and try to go after and get something different? Because like I just don't think you need it with the running backs you have. Like I think for considering what most people have at running back, to be able to have Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, James Cook, and Mostert, like you're in a fantastic spot. And I can tell why you're 7-2.
Yeah, I don't think you quote unquote need HN either. Um, I think rest of season with these running backs specifically, I think I would prefer HN just for like that juice. It kind of seems like most are starting to lose it a little bit compared to how he was playing earlier in the season. But you're obviously not going to flip Mostert for HN, or at least like I wouldn't think that you'd be able to do that. So I definitely don't think that you need him. Like if you wanted to, maybe maybe James Cook for HN, but then I'm going to be trying to unload Mostert because I know we were talking about just wanting to have handcuffs, but this is not a scenario where it's going to be a handcuff, right? Like even if Mostert goes down, HN's still going to be splitting work. Like he's not just going to slide into that role. Like does his touches bump up? Sure, but like it's not like a 1-for-1 type of replacement. Truss, would you trade Pollard and Cooper for Justin Jefferson? This is
The only thing I can ask in this question would be like, who do you have left at running back? If you make that move, like if you're loaded at running back and you're fine, I think you can make that move. But we still have to remember it's still as good as Josh Dobbs has looked at times this year. He also has the games where he also looked completely lost and just god awful. And so I don't know how all this is going to work. That like, are they going to throw the ball as much as they did back when it was Kirk Cousins? Obviously, Josh Jefferson's going to get his, but like it's not the same scenario. And so while like obviously Josh Jefferson I love, but I would hate to if you trade away Pollard and you're left with like not great options at all at running back. And then also, I mean, on the surface, if you would ask me this probably before the injury, I would say absolutely I'm making this trade. But like it just has me a little bit worried, especially with the soft tissue injury that Justin Jefferson suffered, re-aggravating it, and then this is just the situation they're in with Josh Dobbs. Like I don't know. I feel hesitant on this.
think you could do it then.
Yeah, I think you could. Now seeing who you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I'm with you though. It is going to be different. Dobbs loves his tight end too. So, but he also didn't have a Justin Jefferson that he was throwing to. Like they're gonna find ways to get him involved. So, but yeah, I'm doing that with those running backs that you have. Another one here from Danner, also a 14 teamer, half PPR, sitting at 5-4. We have Lamar Hall, not existent RP2, Amon Waddle, Wilson, and Joku on the bench. We have Watson, IR. We have Goddard. What player should I trade for and trade away, in your opinion? Thank you. Well, if you have a non-existent RB2, I think that's the problem that we need to tackle here, right? And I think Wilson still carries like enough value that you could look to potentially flip him for an RB2.
Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that call.
Javonte Williams would be the guy that I'd want to trade for. Like he doesn't still have that value yet that he should. And he's coming off of before their bye his best game of the year. Found the end zone, handled a massive amount of the running back touches in that backfield. It's only 17% target share. It's really starting to trend up in terms of the efficiency numbers. He's back to at least efficiency wise where he was pre ACL injury, and so like Javonte is such an easy buy because he's not going to cost you as much. Most people are still going to view him as like basically at best like a low end RB2. Most people are going to value him where he should be valued higher than that. And so Javonte would be a good option. I also think you could look at like an Isaiah Pacheco would be another option that you could look at, especially coming off they're on bye. Plus, his last couple games he played, they've struggled a little bit more. But those would probably be the two options I would kind of look at there. That's not going to cost you a ton to be able to acquire.
Yeah, agreed. Brunel, what's up, guys? Have Hurts on bye between Gino and Gardner. Which one should I pick up the stream? It's going to be Gino for both of us. And if Gino can't do it this week, then forget about it. Also, should I start Dell or Downs flex? That is also going to be Dell for both of us, regardless of whether or not Downs plays. I don't think you're getting Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5 there, Joe. I think he is locked into a top 3 pick.
I don't even think the Raiders. Is the Raiders 4-5? Is that their record?
I'm not entirely sure.
They've won the last 2 games? Or no, they haven't won the last 2 because they got their heads beat in. Yeah, they're 4-5. So there's no way you're at 5.
No.
With a 4-5 record.
Even if you lose out, you're probably not.
Probably not. No. You're probably looking at if you lost every game rest of the season, you're probably looking at what, like 9th, 10th, something like that, maybe 8th, just depending on how it fell, somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
In which case, there's no shot in hell Marvin Harrison's sitting there. Marvin Harrison's like it wouldn't even it's not going to happen, but like it wouldn't shock me if he went first overall. Like if the Cardinals ended up with the first overall pick, and they're like, hey, we're going to keep Kyler and just go with Marvin Harrison with the number 1 overall pick. They're going to have I wouldn't shock me.
It would be in a discussion. Like I think at that point, they trade back to like 2 or whatever, or someone jumps up to from 3 to whatever it is. Like someone would jump up, but he's in a discussion for number 1, just like in general. It's not going to end up that way, but he's in that discussion. Boston fan, would you trade Pittman for Najee and MT? I would not.
I think if you need a running back, I think I would. He's actually another player I could have mentioned as a buy. He is starting to trend up, and we kind of saw it last year with him. Like where he kind of is. Now, do I think he's good? No. Do I think Jaylen Warren's better? Yes. But they're not going to view it that way. He's going to continue to see snaps and touches, but he is starting to look a little bit better the last couple of weeks. And so I mean Pittman is a middle of the road wide receiver 2. It's kind of where he sits for me. Volume is still there. I don't really want Michael Thomas though. Maybe you could get something different than Michael Thomas, but if you were desperate for a running back, I wouldn't hate it.
Play the fifth. Russell, the love muscle. Have Browns defense I stream each week. On waivers are Raiders, Colts, Seahawks. Any other? Keep Browns or pick up another. I mean, I think I'm just going to keep the Browns defense. Like, I don't think because Kev, you're talking about like, is there a defense you wouldn't drop? Like, I think the Browns are in that discussion for not dropping them, and I don't want to drop anyone to carry two defenses. So like, I think I would just stick it out with the Browns, and like Russell's saying here, Ravens tough divisional matchup. Yeah, I mean the Browns aren't going to get you 24 points on defense this week, but I also don't think the Ravens go out and blow them out either. Like it's going to be like a low scoring AFC North type matchup. So yeah, you're not getting 24, but they're not getting blown out either.
I'm gonna say this though. You're gonna be hard pressed to find a team that has a better schedule than what the Browns do after this week. Because then they get a home matchup against Pittsburgh, and then it's at Denver, at the Rams, Jaguars. That's a tougher matchup. But then the fantasy playoffs, it is the Bears at Houston, which isn't great, and then the Jets. So,
Keeping the Browns.
like, it's not really that terrible the rest of the season for them either. So, like, there's some tougher matchups. I don't love it there against Houston the way that they've been playing. But other than that, pretty good. Because they don't play the Bengals again. I was looking for that. I was like, where are they at? I was like, oh, they played them week 18. So the fantasy season will be over by then. So that doesn't matter. So, yeah. Yeah. And who is he wanting to stream between?
Raiders, Colts, Seahawks, or anyone else. I just can't play any of those defenses over the Browns, or to like hold two for this week.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the room and you can stream one, if you just don't want to play Cleveland, and you can leave them there, then the Raiders would be my pick. But
yeah. Lucius, would you trade for Ramondre Stevenson based on his schedule going forward? Currently running with Pacheco, Swift, and Gus.
you can try, and I think actually, if you want to flip Gus Edwards, that would be a good option. Maybe add in another player for Ramondre.
Looks like Two Hype currently has Heineke, but would you rather play Pickett, Bajent, Love, Young, Jones, Wilson, or O'Connell over Heineke this week?
No.
I
was trying to see who I had. If I had anybody ranked above them, and the answer is no, I don't. I have Taylor Heineke at quarterback 17 this week.
Chuka, big game alert. Jonathan Mango. I like the call. I mean, they have to get someone else going in that offense. Like Thielen can't carry that load all year. It's like they got to get someone else going. Mingo did look better in that first game. 2 weeks ago. Obviously they did absolutely nothing this past week, so they gotta get something going. Murdoch, JSN or Michael Wilson rest of season wound up with Lockett and JSN, but Gino has been horrible.
I think it's Wilson for me. Like it's tough because JSN at least is starting to show more, but Wilson has been really pretty solid. I mean, he has 50 or more receiving yards in 5 of his last 7 games, and now you're getting a massive upgrade with Kyler Murray. Where I mean, you can make the argument that he's at the very least that he is he's the number 2 target in this offense. So But, if obviously something were to happen to Lockett or Metcalf, then I think JSN would probably be that. But I don't even know. Like, I mean, getting Kyler Murray back is going to be a big upgrade for this entire offense. And I know Kyler Murray at times has struggled and everything else, but still being able to go from Clayton Tune or even Josh Dobbs for that matter up back to Kyler Murray is just going to be a huge bump. That's why trying to trade for some of these guys, and I already like in my league that where I traded for Michael Wilson today, like I already have Trey McBride. So part of it doesn't feel great. Like, man, two Cardinals, but on my roster. But at the same time, I don't really care because Garrett or Michael Wilson for me is not as something that I'm going to be looking to start every week. But he is more of a case of emergency. But he very well could take off over the last part of the season because what Kyler Murray does best is throw the deep ball. And Michael Wilson has been fantastic with that this year. He is third among all wide receivers in average depth of target. And so I think that he is going to fit very well with Kyler Murray and what he does best. Because Kyler Murray I think he is top 5, if I remember correctly, in deep ball completion percentage since among all quarterbacks since 2019. So those two are, um, could be very strong options later in the year.
Yeah, I lean Wilson by a smidge. Like, especially if I had Lockett, I probably don't want Lockett and JSN on the same team. Millie, pick 4: Olave, Higgins, Godwin, D Hop, Deontay, McLaurin, and it would be the first 4 for me. I have Godwin just ahead of Deontay.
So for me, it would be Olave, Higgins for sure, and then it would be Hopkins, and then Terry McLaurin.
Okay. Okay. So we had 3 out of the 4 consensus. Gorilla Kid, have Kelsey on bye, pick 1 on waivers. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Trey McBride, Auden Everett. That is going to be McBride for both of us, I'm assuming. Is that a safe assumption?
Yes.
Yes. Fergie Ferg or Ingram?
Man, it's close. I like both of these. I have both as top 10 tight ends this week, but I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram.
I lean Ingram as well. Evan Harrison traded Saquon, Warren, JSN for Walker, Waddle, and Kyron. Thoughts? I like the Waddle side.
I agree.
I have Flowers just at the end of my wide receiver 3 ranks, Kev. I think you might have him outside of yours, but would you start Brown, Shakir, Quentin Johnson, Douglas Boyd, or
Yeah, I would.
Shaheed?
Yeah, I have Pop Douglas ahead of him.
If Chase doesn't play, I would play Boyd over Flowers. Flappo over on Twitch. Need a little help with RBs this week. Have PPR. Have I'm gonna say Brees Hall, Foreman, Hubbard. Plan to start with Herbert, Spears, and Charbonnet on the bench. Should I hold Foreman or Hubbard for potential Charbonnet with Walker not playing, or should I start Herbert over Foreman if he is active?
It's such a tough call because I don't necessarily know how this is going to play out between Herbert and Foreman. I would assume that Herbert would get his job back, but I don't know if that's a guarantee. It's also possible coming off a high ankle sprain that they don't want to overload him with a huge workload either. And so maybe Foreman does get more work. The other problem here is I do not love Chuba Hubbard this week at all. Like, I am not a fan. The Bears have been very, very good against opposing running backs this year. I think they've allowed the 3rd fewest rushing yards per game. They are first in stuff rank among all defenses this year. They have been very good. I think that's like they're allowing less than 70 yards rushing per game to opposing running backs. And so if Chuba's going to get there, it's going to have to be through the air this week. So am not that big of a fan of him this week. But since you're going to, I guess you have to make a decision between. I think if Herbert were to play, would you feel more confident with playing like waiting and then just going with the Charbonnet and thinking that Foreman or Herbert aren't really going to kill you? That maybe they could just cannibalize each other.
Yeah, I think if Herbert plays, I would go Hall, Herbert, and then Charbonnet or Spears. Like I think I'd rather play one of those two over Hubbard this week. So I think that's how I would play it. Obviously, if Walker is out, you're playing Charbonnet. But then, I think even like Spears could have some standalone value as well.
And the best news for you, I mean, the good news is that you're going to have a little bit better of an idea because you're still going to get to practice for tomorrow, which Thursday, Friday are the two biggest days of the week. Those are the two that you should really care about in terms of if a player is practicing or not.
Yeah. Another one, we got Generation over on Twitch, also in the Discord, which you can scroll up and find the link to that Ashton dropped earlier. And also, hit us with a like and a sub if you have yet to do so. We need 3 here for Generations. Moore, Cooper, Dell, Godwin, Adams not feeling too good, and Adams not feeling too good about Adams. So. This is going to be Dell, Godwin, and DJ Moore for me.
Dell for sure. Man. I would like Amari more if he was playing at home than he was on the road.
Or not the Ravens.
Or that for that matter. But he's just been better at home than he has on the road, which is pretty par for the course for him, honestly. It's what he's been pretty much most of his career. But I still think I would play him. So I think I would go Dell, Cooper, and then DJ Moore.
Gorilla Kid, is Fournette worth a grab / stash? To me, this one all depends on your league size and who you're dropping to pick him up, right? Like 10-team league, I'm not interested. 12-team league or deeper, I think you could. I have not seen Fournette to verify or say anything about that. Muted.
Good for one of those today. But they posted one of those like Mike Davis, like at practice where he's wearing like spandex and he's his huge thighs and everything else and all this stuff. Which worked out great whenever when that's what we got whenever he went to the Falcons with Mike Davis, and everyone lost their minds and thought he was going to be this awesome running back, and then that didn't happen. So I'm not all that excited about Leonard Fournette at this point. Like I've said before, if he was still such a attractive option for teams, somebody would have signed him before now. With the massive amount of injuries we saw this offseason, with a lot of injuries we saw, players getting hurt, everything else, he would have gotten an offer by now. I'm going to lean towards he's cooked. It looked like he was cooked last year. A lot of the numbers pointed to that that he just wasn't the same guy anymore. And so, I mean, if you want to stash him, fine. It doesn't really hurt anything, especially at running back. But he's not somebody that I have high expectations for anything.
Jordan, bet option this week, but I need one in a full PPR. Looking at Sanders, Charbonnet, Keaton, Mitchell, McLaughlin, and Hill. Obviously, if Kenneth Walker is out, this is 100% Charbonnet. And then I think I would, even if we get a limited practice from Walker tomorrow, I think I would still rather play like Keaton Mitchell over Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I don't want to play Miles Sanders.
So for me, this is going to be Charbonnet. So
Yeah.
Kevin Scott, would you trade Kyler for Puka? I have Josh Allen.
Yep.
Generations back on here from Twitch. Hill on Ingram. You said last week you did go with Ingram on bye, but I'm not sure about this week. This to me comes down to like, do you want to like just like swing for the fences? Like, or you look at your matchup and you're like, man, like I need, I kind of need to hit a home run here because if so, that is going to be Taysom Hill for me. But if you need safety, I'm going to go Ingram on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ingram.
Jacob, appreciate you for rocking with us. And like Jacob said, hit that like and sub button if you would. AU Fo Life. Rough flex options this week with buys and injuries. Pick 2 in a PPR. Shakir, Gus Bus, Dobbs, Roshan, Hairbear.
Well, I'm gonna go with Gus Edwards. Hopefully he can find the fall into the end zone once or twice. And then if he plays, I probably would go. I don't know. I think Shakir is kind of interesting. I think I'd actually go Shakir here in a full PPR. I think I'd go Shakir and Gus Edwards.
Yeah, I'm with you. Seahawks, Colts, Browns, or Falcons defense. I'm still just going to go with the Browns here.
What is? Oh, okay. Never mind. Saw that. Yeah, this game feels very much like it could be very low scoring. Like, would it surprise you if it ended up being like a 20-14 type game or something like that?
Nope. Not at all. Another one here from Kevin Schultz or McBride.
I'm gonna go Dalton Schultz.
Man. I'm gonna go McBride on this one. It's really close. I just don't know that CJ Stroud is going to drop back as many times in this game as what he did last week, right? And then like if some of that production starts going over toward Collins and even Tank Dell, like obviously not necessarily in terms of like the touchdowns or anything, but I think Nico Collins only had like 3 catches last week. Tank Dell, even though he popped off, he only had 6. So I don't know. I lean McBride by a smidge. Now, obviously, if this were if we're talking Clayton Tune, I would go back to the Schultz well here, but I'm going to lean McBride on this one. For the second one, that is going to be Tank Dell for both of us. Wolfie, need a little help with running backs this week, so I think we got that one. Was that from Twitch? Yeah, it was. Twitch, we see we're always running behind. We're getting to these in order. So promise we are never ignoring you. Generations had Hunt Pacheco in last week at running back. Now I have CMC and Keaton Mitchell. Dropped Hunt for him. Try to get Javante, but missed with my waiver priority. Do I keep Mitchell or grab Chuba or go back to Hunt on waivers? Probably rather play Hunt over Mitchell.
Yeah,
this week.
I mean, I am not at all expecting what Keaton Mitchell did. I mean, it was kind of he had a 60-yard run and a 40-yard run. in that game, where that's where the obviously where most of his production came from. I mean, obviously, I am a fan of Keaton Mitchell, but this doesn't feel like the matchup that I want to be rolling him out there. I mean, he could really legitimately get 3 touches all game.
Yeah. Dominique, who should I start at my RB2 and flex? We have Monty, Aaron Jones, Connor, Scary Terry, DK Metcalf. This is going to
Hey,
be Jones and DK.
yep,
Kyler or Purdy this week is a 4-point touchdown league.
it's gonna be Purdy. I know they
Yeah.
said that Kyler Murray's not going to have any restrictions, that he's going to be able to run and all this stuff. I'm going to lean towards I don't know about that. Coming off ACL, like I could see them not being that aggressive with him, but I mean but so normally I would usually always lean towards the quarterback that can run, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that this week. So I think I would lean towards Purdy.
Yeah. Boston fan to go with the Pittman for Najee and MT trade. RBs are Bijan, Gibbs, Charbonnet, Pierce, Henderson, Foreman. Receivers are Cup, AJ, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Pittman, and JSN. I'm keeping Pittman here. Doesn't change my mind. Yeah, does it change yours? I know you're on the other side of it.
I mean, I guess you kind of could use a running back. I mean, not that you don't have, because I think you have some depth here, but
I don't think Najee
yeah,
solves
it's
that
not
issue.
something that's gonna necessarily like push you over the top for that. But um, you definitely have the depth to be able to trade Pittman, though.
Yeah. I don't mind trading Pittman away for a running back, but in this group, Najee does not move the needle
This
for
would be
me.
one of those two where I come back and I say the same thing. I would take Pittman and try to offer that to whoever has Javante Williams.
Yang, who would you drop at RB? Cook, Monty, Connor, Mitchell, or Chuba?
Probably Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, unfortunately, if that is the question of dropping one, it would be Mitchell. Tingley, trade deadline next Saturday. How do you think I should improve? 5-4, third place, second in scoring, PPR. It's like T-Law, Kelsey Puka, Smitty, Flowers, Lockett, Dell, Rice, ETN, Alvin Kamara, Pacheco, Achan, and Charbs.
I don't know if you need to, because I maybe wide receiver, but you do have a lot of. I mean, at running back, you're golden. You're fine. Don't
Yeah.
necessarily love Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't really been great this year. Um, but I also don't really love trading for quarterbacks either. But I would say I don't know if I would make any moves because, like we talked about with Devonta Smith, like he's set to I think take off post bye because of the injury to um, Dallas Goddard. So I think you're actually in a better spot there now. But the rest of your wide receivers, you have a lot of depth there. Really, the only issue I see here would be quarterback. I don't love, but other than that, like I think you're in a pretty good spot. Like you have really good depth at running back with ETN, Kamara, Pacheco, HN coming back with Charbonnet. So I think you're actually in a pretty good spot here. I mean, like I said, the only position that I really necessarily have a problem with would be the quarterback, but and not that Trevor Lawrence is a bad option to have, but he just hasn't been as good this year as that I think we were kind of hoping for. Because Trevor Lawrence right now is the QB 20 in fantasy points per game. He's only averaging 16 fantasy points per game right now. I mean, guys like Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson and Jordan Love have outproduced him in terms of fantasy points per game. So, um, so that would. But I mean, I guess if that's what you could possibly do with all the options you have, but also at the same time, I think this is a situation where maybe you just you keep what you have.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna look to do anything, you hope that Lockett pops off in this game against Washington. Then maybe you could pair Lockett with one of your other receiver options, not named Devonta Smith, and then try and do like a 2-for-1 where you try to target like a struggling team that has like one top guy at wide receiver and like could use some depth, right? Where you try and do a 2-for-1 that way. I think that'd probably be your best shot. Do you have? I'm still going Ingram here, but do you have McBride over Ingram?
I do not have McBride over Ingram. I will say one last thing on that the last question before that. I will say too about Trevor Lawrence is his remaining schedule's terrible. Like especially in the fantasy playoffs, it's really bad. But I mean, and he has the third hardest remaining schedule, and his remaining schedule is in the fantasy playoffs. It is the Ravens, the Bucks, which is a good matchup, and then the Panthers, which isn't like they've been decent against the pass. It's been at the run that's really killed them this year. And so it's not necessarily a great fantasy playoff schedule either. And then they still have matchups with San Francisco. Tennessee is a good matchup. Houston is not actually the best matchup in terms of through the air. They've actually been pretty good in that department. And Cincinnati at Cleveland. So their schedule is not great rest of the season for at least for that. So
Gorilla Kid, I have Puka. What's your expectation with Wentz until Stafford gets back?
I think there's a pretty decent shot that Stafford plays coming off their bye. I mean, it's another week for him to rest, another week to be better. I think there's a decent shot that Stafford plays after this.
And if I'm remembering correctly, he wasn't like ruled out early in the week, right? Like he was like kind of like questionable going into that game. So I'm with you. It seems like he could have a fair shot of getting back. Speaking of Puka, our guy Gator fan here wants to know what's a fair running back to ask for in exchange for Cup or Puka.
It's tough for these guys because they're coming off bad games and couple bad games here for Cooper Cup. So their value just isn't where it should be. So that's where it makes it tough to be able to trade guys like this because people see that and a lot of people box score look and just look to see how they've done and when they haven't played well, people don't want to trade as much. And so I mean, typically you would look at Cooper Cup and say, "Oh, well, you should be able to get a massive haulback for him," but it's just not really probably the case. And kind of the same for Puka.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Pollard could be a guy to look at. You kind of have like two disappointing assets here, like assets that guys aren't like that high on. So I feel like that could be one you might be able to get away with, right? Like depending on how how annoyed the Pollard owner is, but at the same time, to try and do one of these receivers for a running back straight up with as bad as Pollard has been, but then you have to look at the running back position as a whole. Like you might not be able to do that too. So at this point, I would wait until one of them pops off, and then it's going to make life a lot easier for you. Michael, standard PPR, Kincaid or Cooper? I'm going Kincaid here in a standard. Oh, standard PPR. Never mind.
Yeah, I think I
I
go. I think
actually I actually still think I'd go Kincaid, regardless.
Yeah, it's PPR, but
Yeah.
I think I would go Kincaid too.
David, full PPR flex, choose one: Warren, JSN, Quentin Johnson, Josh Downs, or Christian Watson.
I think I would go Jalen Warren, but you could consider Christian Watson. It's just with Christian Watson, he just hasn't done anything at all. So I think I would go Jalen Warren.
It's between Warren and JSN for me personally, just kind of playing the matchup. Warren probably safer, but if you want to take a swing, I think JSN probably has a slightly higher ceiling. Dez, should I start Connor this week? Drop Pierce for Connor. Also, any news on Fournette? It's a good pickup. We kind of touched on the Fournette thing here not too long ago, Dez. So you probably heard that, but basically it comes down to who you're dropping him for and what size is your league. 12 teams and up. You could probably look to stash him. It's clear that they don't want to use James Cook at the goal line, and Latavius has not been good at the goal line. So if Fournette can be better in that role at least, then he does have some PPR upside. So all depends on who you're dropping and how big that league is. But then on the Connor thing, all that also comes down to options. But if he plays, I'm fine with playing him this week. Seattle or stick with the Browns? It's a very, very popular one here. We are going to just stick with the Browns there. Michael Rollins, we need 3 in a PPR. Love D-Hop, Amari, Tank, Hollywood, London. That for me is going to be Olave, D-Hop, and Tank Dell.
Agreed.
Sit 2 for Gator, Dell, Davis, Hubbard, Pierce, Connor, Dotson.
Just 2? Uh, um, I'm not playing Damian Pierce, and I would sit Hubbard.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one as well. Dick Pickens, Adams, Dale, Schultz. Which one of these guys which one of these guys should absolutely start this week? For me, that's Tank Dell. I would rank it Dell, Schultz, and Adams.
Yeah.
I already had this one. Curtis Samuel or London. Even if Curtis Samuels plays, I would go London on this one.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm not sure if Samuel plays, but yeah, I would go with London either way.
DJ Moore or Pittman. I'm going to go Pittman on this one.
Yep.
The Smitty. Should I drop Pierce or Hunt?
I think you can. I mean, this Damian Pierce has just been a disaster.
Who would you rather drop?
Oh, I was reading that as 4 Hunt. Yeah, I would probably. And was there a qualifier in there for anything? Because I guess I would ask why you're wanting to drop them, but if I absolutely had to choose one, I probably would just drop Damian Pierce.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably agree. Last one here from Jacob. Would you trade Waddle and Pacheco for Pollard and Adams?
I think I would.
I think I would as well. I think I low key like that move. Chig Okonkwo or Everett?
It's gonna be Everett for me.
Yeah, yeah. Captain Joe King, huge fan of the stream, already a sub. Appreciate you, Captain JK. Should I trade CD for ETN and Pollard?
Yes.
Yeah, I would do that as well, assuming that you're going to be okay at wide receiver. Chuba or Ford at the RB2. That's going to be Ford for me.
Yep. Agreed.
McLaurin, Evans, or Dell. I would have Evans at the top of that list.
Yeah, I would go Evans, McLaurin, then Dell for me.
So earlier, AU asked about trading away Justin Jefferson or holding, and this is the team: Kyler, Purdy, Jones, Monty, Gus Bus, Herbert, Roschon, Fournette, AJ Brown, Hollywood, DK, Justin Jefferson, Dobbs, Shakir, and then tight end we have Ingram. I want to get better at running back. Not that like you're awful there, but I think that's the one. Obviously, you're loaded here at wide receiver. I would hope that Kyler Murray looks good, and then maybe pair Hollywood with one of these, maybe like Gus, or if Herbert looks good in this one, maybe pair Hollywood and one of those running backs, and then upgrade at RB that way. Like, because I don't know that Justin Jefferson is going to get you. If you're trading Justin Jefferson, you want a CMC Eckler, that type, and I don't know that he's going to get you that at this point. Couple here from Not Good at Fantasy. Rest of the season, rank them: Ayuk, Olave, Puka. I would have it Olave, Ayuk, Puka.
I think I would have it Ayuk, Olave, Puka, the way you have it. It's very close. Very, very close between those two. But
it's just harder to trust Ayuk whenever Debo is fully healthy. And like that's what we have like for now. Like if you told me that Debo is going to be out rest of the season, I would agree. Javonte, D-Hop, or McLaurin at the flex. I'm going to go D-Hop on this one.
yeah, I think I would too. I like them both, Javante and D Hop, very much. But I think I would lean DeAndre Hopkins ever so slightly.
12-team, 2 QB league. Heineke, Mahomes, Ayuk, Evans, DK, Collins, Jacobs, Hunt, Pierce, Camara, Laporta. Any trades you see for improvement before the deadline? I don't think so, Smitty, without creating a problem somewhere else. Like, obviously, you'd want that QB2 to be something better than Heineke, but I also don't want to pull away from any of your other positions, right? Like that would, because then, then you end up creating a hole elsewhere.
I agree. I mean, I wish you had like a more of a dominant wide receiver one, like it's like a surefire, but you don't. But I also think the depth that you have is also very good.
Yeah. Smitty, let us know what the starting requirements are too. Because if it's just like 2-2 and like a flex, then I think that makes it a little bit easier, right? But if it's like 2-3 and then a flex, probably makes it a little bit harder to do so. Richard, I have McLaurin Evans as my starters, Adams on the bench, and a flex, and sure who options are Schultz, Dell, Adams, Chuba. So I'm playing Dell over Adams this week.
Here, I would go Devontae Adams.
Coward. Where do you have Dell ranked? Because don't you have Adams as like as a wide receiver 3? You have to have Dell higher than that, right?
Let's see.
Pump it up.
Oh, there it is. Right there.
Say it with your chest. Tank Dell.
Yeah, let's go take Dell.
Let's go.
Yeah, because I have Dell at 21 and I have Devontae at 25.
Attaboy. 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 Well, I think that is going to wrap it up unless Smitty comes through here with the starting requirements at the last second at the buzzer. Kev, you guys are going to be going live for the DFS show tomorrow. It does seem like Prop Talk should be back on Saturday. So if you guys are in a legal betting state and would like to jump in and catch on the props that Tom and I throw down on Saturdays, going to be doing that. Then we go live again on Sunday mornings to do this all over again. So this makes it a lot more feasible, right? With only starting 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and then one. Oh, so it looks like, if I'm reading this right, that the only flex is the Superflex, right?
Yep.
So I think that makes it a lot more feasible to, maybe you pair a running back and a wide receiver, right? I wouldn't necessarily want to do it with running back just because of how the position's been, but like this makes it way more feasible if you can find someone that's maybe like hoarding, 3 solid quarterbacks. Maybe you can even pair Heineke with one of your receivers and then go and just like make that upgrade at your QB2 spot. So that's what I would be looking to do. D's nuts. Should I drop Pierce or Pitts for Judy, Dell, Warren, or Spears? I would drop both, and it would be Dell and Spears.
Yep.
For me.
Or
Boom.
no. It would be
No,
Dell and
no.
Warren. Sorry, Dell and Warren.
I would just go Spears just because I think just like shooting for higher upside. That'd be the only thing. But if you need someone to like you feel better about starting, Warren would be the guy. So appreciate all you for rocking with us. Please hit us with a sub and a like if you have yet to do so. Discord is absolutely free. I probably have a better or an easier time finding it in any of our non-live videos. I can't remember if we put it in the description on this one or not, but you can find that at almost any other video. Thank you guys. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you all soon.